Hello, folks. Rick Russo, Local 8 News, along with David Ball from WVLT. And I'll tell you, we are here on the UT campus following what has been a remarkable morning and the continuation of what has been one of the most bizarre weeks that I've ever experienced in my 30 years of covering Tennessee football and UT athletics. To get you caught up on everything that's transpired, Athletics Director John Currie, who, as you know, has been in the search, in the market for a new head football coach to replace Butch Jones, has been on the road recruiting such a coach. Well, he was on the West Coast yesterday, we are told, meeting with Mike Leach of Washington State. During that meeting, he received a call and was told to come back to campus. Well, he did that last night. A meeting was set for this morning. That meeting at 9 a.m. included Chancellor Davenport and others. During that meeting, we are told that it was John Currie being terminated, asked to vacate his position as athletics director, which, David, is remarkable considering it was just April 1st, 8 months ago, that I was up in his office in this building as he was moving in to take over for Dave Hart, and now we've come to this.
Yeah, and it's really been kind of an overwhelming response online from what I've seen. And
you've been watching social media.
Yeah, I've been keeping up with Twitter and Facebook, and also just a few students and even athletes, basketball players, men and women that I've kind of tried to talk to here on campus.
What are they saying?
And players that I've talked to, they don't want to talk about it right now. I'm not sure if they have a meeting, but all the players for basketball were headed in the same direction, and they said, yeah, we really don't have any kind of opinion about it right now. But from what I've seen, everyone on Twitter, Facebook, some students that I've heard kind of talking about on campus, they think this was a good idea. They've been frustrated. They said every single day has been an up and down roller coaster, and all they want is a coach. So they themselves put a lot of blame on John Currie.
You know, there's been a lot of fans who have been very vocal about this inside the wrestling event here at Thompson Bowling back on Monday, during the Tennessee basketball game the other night. Well, those particular fans, and I don't want to sit here and say that they speak for the entire fan base, but those who wanted this to happen are getting their wish.
Yeah, they really are. And now, you know, coming up at 4 o'clock, Beverly Davenport, the chancellor, is going to have a press conference in light of all this. So we're going to be there, and we're going to try and find out, the details of what happened this morning. And I've been around her office today as well. So far, I have not seen John Currie. But again, we know that he was here for that meeting at 9 o'clock.
As you look and see if folks are writing in and asking some questions, I think the key word that David hit on is stability. A lot of folks behind the scenes, we are hearing that there has been some tension throughout the last week, certainly some uncertainty behind the walls of the athletics department after the fiasco that was the Greg Schiano possible hire, all that transpired last week. So there has been a little bit of unrest, to say the least, in the UT athletics department. So where does Tennessee turn to get some stability? Well, currently back on the staff, as we all know, is legendary football coach Philip Fulmer. I don't know this to be the case, but I would think that they would at least look to Philip, maybe moving forward, if not on an interim basis, but a permanent basis, to lead this athletics department into a new era. Kind of try to put everything that's happened in the past, especially this last week, behind them. It's really interesting because I'm talking about the power of social media here too. Right. But John Currie came in here and was proactive in what he wanted to do. He fired the baseball coach firstly, and then hired Tony Vitello to try to get the baseball program set. Everybody was behind Currie and excited. It's interesting that we're right here next to the Pat Summitt statue. Exactly. But he came in here and said, let's go ahead and reinstate the Lady Vols logo. So he was behind that as well. And then recently, he also talked about and introduced some major renovations upcoming over at Neyland Stadium. But then we had the firing of Butch Jones. And I promise you, John Currie did not come in here last April thinking that one of the things he was going to do this fall was fire Butch Jones. He had hoped against hope that that wasn't going to have to happen, but circumstances dictated otherwise. And then came the coach search. And it's interesting that all the positive things I just mentioned, David, out the window, because on social media, the uproar began on Sunday. and it has not let up.
No, it has not slowed down at all. And even before you mentioned Fulmer, that's most of what I'm seeing here is that people want Fulmer more involved. Some people say he needs to be our athletic director. Others are like, let him be the coach. Fulmer is popular still, you know, and they really want to hear from him and have him make a lot of decisions. And then the other thing I'm seeing is if, you know, every day has been a new coach name, sometimes multiple names, and then they go away, a lot of people are saying they were excited about Mike Leach, but now where does that leave him if Currie's out the door?
We have sources that are telling us that Mike Leach has significant interest in being Tennessee's head coach, but I don't believe and I don't think that's the way Tennessee might want to go. In fact, I am hearing that maybe Tennessee will turn towards now Kevin Steele, who is he's got ties to the university and is the defensive coordinator of the Auburn Tigers, who will be playing the Georgia Bulldogs tomorrow on WVLT for the SEC championship. So that's a good question. Where do we go from here? But I can see where people would also want Coach Fulmer to take over the team, if not on a permanent basis, definitely on an interim basis until, again, David, they can get things settled. So I've been here, I just mentioned this was my 31st season covering Tennessee football. And over the years, folks, we have been used to stability. No question. We had Johnny Majors, who was the coach for a while. We had Philip Fulmer, who was the coach for a while. Pat Summitt, of course, was here for the longest time. Athletics director-wise, Doug Dickey, 1985 through 2002. Mike Hamilton had a long tenure, 2003 through 2011. Dave Hart was here as well from 11 to 16. Never in my wildest dreams that 8 months after introducing John Currie that we'd be in this position.
Yeah, and I think, you know, we'll wait to see and hear what Beverly Davenport has to say, but I think that it's just the tumultuous ride that we've been on since the firing of Butch Jones, and really just the past decade since Fulmer was removed, you know, I think had a lot to do with this. And so it's going to be really interesting to see who's going to take over, who's going to be calling the shots, and when are we going to have a coach, because we've got that early signing class coming up.
Right.
And I know for Vol fans, they kind of feel like, man, time is ticking here.
Well, that's a good point, but at this point, since they haven't hired someone, I think it needs to be the right guy than a rush guy.
Exactly.
Bring somebody in that's going to last a while and really try to get this program back on course. You know, this has been so bizarre. I thought, you know, I've been through the Johnny Major situation when he was ousted. Philip Fulmer came in. That was quite the time here on campus. And then when Philip was let go, boy, that was another time that I said, man, I don't know if I'll ever see anything like this. And then Lane Kiffin came along. And then we saw what happened, what ensued that night. And I'm thinking, oh, my goodness, it can never be topped. And then we have this week. Are you absolutely kidding me?
Each day topped itself, I think.
It has. I mean, we've had a coach fired, a coach search, which has been all over the map. We are viewed as being dysfunctional by the national media and folks on the outside looking in. So we've had that, and now we have an athletics director that's out.
Yeah, and Rick, I'm curious to see what you think about this. You know, at this point, with all the names that we've gone through, a guy that has, you know, like you said, we need a guy who's maybe going to be more long-term. Is there anybody jumping out top of mind for you, you know, having covered this for so long? Is there anybody that's sticking out to you this morning as, man, maybe we should try and get him?
You know, that's a good question. I have been curious about Les Miles. You know, he's been out there for a while. I think he's the kind of coach, whether or not he's going to be long-term or not, but I think in the interim, he's the kind of guy that can bring stability. I'm big on having played in this conference and competed and gone through the grind, and that is certainly something he has done and proven he can win. So that's a guy that I thought would be good, but Tennessee has not reached out to him. They have not reached out to T. Martin, another guy that Vol fans were really intrigued by and interested to possibly have come in here and lead this program. T. Martin, of course, followed Peyton Manning as Tennessee's starting quarterback, and in 1998 went all the way undefeated and won the BCS National Championship. This is just Rick speaking in my dream world, but I was talking to some folks at the station saying, you know, how cool would it be if we can get a guy like a David Cutcliffe or a Les Miles to come in, bring T. Martin in as their offensive coordinator with the goal of eventually making him the head coach. He'd be your coach in waiting. Anyways, nobody's listening to me. But But anyways,
it's a good scenario.
Yeah, I like it.
Well,
but
it's
just
look at a guy like Les Miles. I mean, multiple seasons of 10 or 11 wins. And he took his teams LSU to 2 national titles, won one of them. I mean, to me, I think he would stand out in my mind as well. And of course, T. Martin being a Tennessee guy, I feel like people they want something that Fulmer had as far as playing here, being a Tennessee guy, and T. Martin is also one of the most popular names I've seen throughout the whole week.
Yeah.
Because people just like call him. Let's see if he can be our guy. And I think it's just those Tennessee roots that people want just to feel some stability again.
People kind of felt good about that in John Currie, even though he's not from the area, from North Carolina. But he came in here and worked here previously as an associate athletics director under Mike Hamilton. And then Currie went on, that was way back in '97, and then Currie went on to become the athletics director at Kansas State University before leaving the Wildcats and coming here to take over the job after Dave Hart. So to wrap it all up, folks, we learned early this morning that it was moving in this direction. And indeed, after a 9 a.m. meeting here on the University of Tennessee campus, that John Currie has been terminated as Director of Athletics at UT. There is a news conference scheduled for 4 o'clock this afternoon?
Yeah, 4 o'clock right behind us. Beverly Davenport is going to be speaking. I know you and I both will be there, and we're going to figure out maybe more details about that meeting with John Currie this morning. And
we'll see who takes over, whether it's an interim basis or permanent basis as athletics director for John Currie.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And, at this point, Rick, who knows what's going to happen.
So Tennessee is now looking for a head football coach and an AD. Never a dull moment. Reporting on the University of Tennessee campus, David Ball, Rick Russo, Local 8 News.